Well, hey, look who made it, everyone. Gina. She made it inside the studio, but she's like restricted from seeing everything that she's supposed to be able to see as my co-host. So I told her we just had to get rolling. I don't know what happened. She said she was in here messing around earlier, and then voila, it's not working. So I had to send her another invite. But yeah, she's like in the studio as one of the admins. So I don't
I'm like
know.
a guest now.
Yeah, she got demoted because she was late. Yep, I docked her. Yep, I docked her
I'm like,
pay.
I can't get in. I lose because I'm always in there earlier, like looking at the videos again. And I was
Oh
in there
my.
today watching it. And I just come back like I always do. And I'm like, okay. They're like, where's your email? Put it in. I got like 50 email codes, put them in. And it's like, where did all the stuff go?
Can you imagine her like going to the grocery store and coming back and saying, "Honey, where's the key to the house? I can't get in. I'm locked out."
I did grocery
Oh
shopping
my
today
goodness.
too.
Yeah, well, you better hide that key outside somewhere in a very good place where no criminals can find it. And if you ever need it, you got a backup to get back in your house. Oh my goodness. Just make sure you don't lock the screen doors, to where you can't
I've
get
done
to the
that for
main door.
myself. I have totally done that. I have.
Well, there you
When the
go,
kids were
everyone.
kids were little, because I would lock it so they wouldn't be able to
Oh,
just go over there and push on it and fall out the door.
yeah,
And then I
yeah,
leave with them and I come back and I'm like, okay, how's this gonna work now?
yeah, yeah.
Ah,
It was funny. It really was. You had to be there to see the text come through on my phone. She goes, "I might need another invite. I can't get back in." And I'm sitting here going, "Oh, I wonder if I should just not let her back in." No, I was just kidding. All right, 17
oh,
George. Hey, what's going on? I see Sherry's in here. Monkey, Joe. All right, we're gonna get rolling here. Good Lord, there's so much to talk about. I see the wife's in here. Oh, look, some guy named Lou's in here. Yep, I see him. Nice, nice, nice.
Luli?
Luli. Yeah, yeah.
Luli.
That was I was telling Gina the other night when I changed that from lunacy to Luli. My cousin, who's about 5 to 7 years behind me, my father and his father were brothers. And anyway, when he was younger, he could never say Louis because that was my father's name and my name as well. But anyway, he would go Luli, Luli. So it's kind of been a long lasting type thing. So Lou Lou hired a DEI. Wow. Monkey just called you a DEI. Wow. Do you realize that the moderator might give you the boot? Oh, how's hell the car would be the first challenge, he said. Oh, you're going to be the laughing stock the rest of the show. I can see this already.
It's all right, I'll take it.
No, it was all in fun. So,
I still
all
don't know. I
right,
have 2 emails that I use, 2.
we'll get it figured out. I went back in and like I was telling Gene, I went back in right before we started since we were a couple minutes late, and I checked in the settings, and she's still set up as an admin. So I don't know. Maybe I remove her. Uh-oh, she went away. Maybe I remove her and bring her back in or send her another invite as an admin. Maybe that will reactivate it or something. So, but yeah, apparently she's having major issues because she just disappeared on us. She says, 1 second, I got booted. Oh, the admin was supposed to kick Monkey out, not Gina. Wow. Wow. This is the greatest way to start a show. And don't be mistaken, I have plenty to talk about. It's not like my teleprompter went down and I'm just sitting here going, duh. Uh, oh, Monkey says, "Oh my God, woman, get it together." Oh, well, that is funny. I'd hate to start without her, but I might just have to. I don't know. What a Friday. What a Friday evening. I'm boot proof, Monkey says. So, yeah, we're not going to boot anybody. Nobody in this chat's going to get booted. We get some of those outsiders and we might have to boot some people. So, Anyway, we'll just go ahead and oh, look, she came back into the studio. Y'all can't see it, but she's at the bottom there. Oh, I see a face. I see a face. She's got her hands up in the air. She's talking, but I can't hear her because she didn't put herself back up in here with us. Come on. Come on. Come on. More. More. I don't know. Look at that.
All my
Did you
stuff
get
is
back in the right
back.
way? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. More. More. My wife's
Nothing
laughing at that, I'll guarantee you. The Dan Bongino. More. We
Y'all are
need
in trouble now.
more.
Now I'm back. I
I'm
have no idea what.
back. We need that Jack Nicholson thing up there where in The Shining where he's like, I'm back with that face. That's what we need. Yeah, but only your
I'm
face, not his
back.
face. All right. We're gonna get rolling here since
Wait,
Gina's been
wait.
playing around. Look, it's 9 minutes past the hour, and she's been playing around for 9 minutes, and she's mad because I'm docking her. Look at this. Look what she's done to the show. 9 minutes of playing around.
Make sure you
Okay.
donate.
Yeah, donate to her. Somebody buy that girl a coffee. She needs something. She needs to wake up. We know a guy that can make that. Yeah,
Oh,
we need to
my
make
Lena.
that meme of her. I'm back with that face. Yeah, that's what we need. We need to make our own memes and put them out there. That'd be super cool. So we're just going to turn this into the comedy hour. Like I said, we're 10 minutes in, so let's just go ahead and make this whole thing about comedy today. Unfortunately, not very much funny stuff going on, except for
I mean, it's kind of comical.
yeah, very well. Your issues were very comical, but this list that I have here, I kind of made a list before we started the show, and I'm like, there's like a lot of stuff going on that I guess we could laugh at it, we could make fun of it, but top of the list is the veteran affair orgies. We're not going to go into detail about it, but can you imagine that this is the world that we live in? Veteran affair orgies, and it seems like one of the dudes, or well, one of the dudes probably had sexual relations with about 32 different people. It was either a man or a
Yeah.
woman, but yeah, all from the same Veterans Affair Officer complex. So the guy was pretty active, or he or she was very active. You know,
That's
they were on
gross.
the ball. Got to give them credit for that, I guess. Then the other crazy stuff going on is the blanket preemptive pardons that are being talked about. So I wonder what's going to happen there. So these are probably show topics that we'll talk about in the future. And one of the biggest ones out of the two today was Daniel Penny. They're trying really hard to convict him. I consider him a very good Samaritan. And just remember what I have been telling all of you guys and gals just about every show when we talk about self defense, that this is what's wrong with America, especially New York and other places like that who don't give you the opportunity to protect yourself. But again, even in the red
Oh, I
state
thought
like
of you
where I
today.
live, you still have to be very, very careful. If something happens, they're still going to possibly come after you. So you have to protect yourself. So, and what was you saying, Gina?
I thought of you and Tammy today. I went grocery shopping and I had bags. I didn't bother bringing the cart out. So I had the
Yeah,
bags in my hand. I was walking and there was a guy who was standing like inside the store by like the doors,
right.
and he like followed me out and he was like behind me, and I was like, I could like feel him, and I was like, oh, Lou would be like, Gina, turn around. Turn around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I kind of like stopped, turned back around like I forgot something to walk back towards the store. And
Hmm.
thankfully he kind of just walked back around me, but it
Wow.
was
And
the weirdest feeling. I was like,
you said you had both hands full with bags?
yeah. And
Mm,
so next time I'm thinking I might just bring the
cart.
carriage with me.
Oh, the
Even if
carriage.
I
This
only had
is
two
a
bags, I
carriage.
had no hands.
Here comes Gina with the baby carriage. You guys call them
Well, Lou,
carriages up there?
not, yeah, yeah, a
They're
shopping
shopping
carriage.
carts. They're not a
It's a
carriage. They're a
carriage.
cot. They're a cot, not a
Cloth.
carriage. Oh my goodness. Oh,
I put my groceries in my
somebody
carriage.
please help me in the chat. I need help today. Oh goodness. The carriage. I was like, am I back in the 1800s? What's a carriage? She
The
said
store.
stoa. Yeah, the
Yeah, I
stoa.
went to the store and I
Oh,
pushed my carriage. But yeah, it's been one of those days. I was like, oh,
apparently.
and then I was like, next time I'm gonna take a carriage so I have both hands if I need them. Or it's even a weapon
Absolutely.
if I need it to be. Just push it to keep the distance.
Keep your hand free, the one that you use for the weapon. Always use that cart, carriage as you call it. But always make sure that you, yeah, you got to do that
Yeah, 'cause I
situational
usually keep
awareness.
my keys. If I'm by myself, I keep my keys in my hand, like,
Yeah.
because we're not allowed to carry anything here. I probably would better off like carrying a pen with me.
Yeah, like the wife said, cart. It's a shopping cart here in the Midwest. The carriage is what the Amish use to get to the polls in Pennsylvania. Thanks, Chris. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, that's but anyway, yeah, very and again, back to the serious part of it. What Daniel Penny did, he's a hero. He truly is a hero, and the man should be treated as such. And it should have never went this far. He should have never been charged. And I can't even think or maybe wrap my head around what the detectives really felt when they brought him in for the questioning, when they showed some of that footage and whatnot. But again, we're not going to go deep into that. I just kind of wanted to touch on some of the sadness of this that they're going into Monday now that he has to worry about this all weekend when they should have just said, you know what, we're going to dismiss this case and be done with it. I don't think there's anybody in New York, um, especially that was on that subway that day, that feels that Daniel did anything wrong. And I don't know. I really, I just can't stress it enough. What I tell everyone is that always be prepared for the worst and don't talk to anyone if you ever use your weapon in self-defense. Make sure you get the UC, the carry, concealed carry insurance. Make sure you have lawyers and backup. It's well worth the money if you're in a concealed carry or an open carry state. Insure yourself and don't talk to anyone until you talk to your lawyer. They're really good at what they do, and this is just further proof. And I'm going to go out on a limb here, and we're going to move on. Daniel Penny, the situation that he's in, I think he's in a better position only because that it has cooled off since the George Floyd days. And I also believe that Derek Chauvin should not be in prison either. But it was really, really hot back then as far as the political and the movement, as far as BLM and all that other stuff. So we're not seeing that right now. Everything's kind of cooled down. Even though Daniel Penny is probably in the position he is because of some of these organizations, the woke organizations started pushing and made Alvin Bragg and all these people act. But keep that in mind. I put these two together. I think Derek Chauvin should not be in prison, and I also don't think that Daniel Penny should. So hope and pray that if he does get a little bit of time off this second charge, it's only for like 4 years, is what they're saying, that he gets a pardon from Trump because he does not need to be going in there. Yeah, they dropped the first charge, which was the top charge of manslaughter. But the charges they kept have the worst jail time. I heard it was the opposite. I could be totally wrong, but I heard that what's left is only 4 years. What he could
It should have been a
be served with.
mistrial.
Well, yeah, it's a hung jury. They should have just got rid of it. So we will talk more about that probably Monday on Monday night show. So we're going to go ahead and move on. But again, he is a good Samaritan. He did what I would want someone to do if my wife and kids were on a subway or anywhere in public. And I would do the same for another family if I knew that they were in trouble. I would, put myself in a position to save their lives if I actually could as well. So I think that's a good American. That's what we should all be doing, is taking care of each other when the time arises, and not stand around and say, "Oh my gosh, look, I'm filming this," and watch somebody get shot, killed, beat, whatever. Oh no, I got to be the first to post it on TikTok or somewhere. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff. But all right, and then
I
that
just
pretty
don't
much covers
understand
it.
where people's sense of, I mean, we're hunters and gatherers. When we sense danger, our automatic response is to serve and protect.
Yeah. Well,
I
Tammy
just
and I
don't
were talking about
understand.
this over dinner, and we were sitting down at supper, and I was like, you know what? I said, they were talking about it on TV actually, and I said, yeah, exactly. They trained him in the Marines to be what he is. He would have got a medal. He would have got a
Yeah.
commendation or something for doing what he did in the military, in the service, or overseas. And they train these people to do this, men and women. And then they come over
Hmm.
here and they're always going to be a Marine. They're always going to be whatever it is, a soldier, an airman, whatever. And they're going to protect and serve. And that's what he did. And why is it different here? Why would we want to put them behind bars here when over there they would be heroes? Or the
Yeah.
government would say, you're a sniper. I want you to take out this target. No questions asked, put a bullet in his head, end of story. SEAL Team 6, whatever. But
Yeah.
come home and, oh no, you can't do that.
Don't
So,
serve and protect your own people here.
yeah. Yeah, fight or flight, and the fight was trained. Yeah, so like I said, we'll talk more about that. There's so much to talk about. But again, the VA veteran affair orgies and the blanket preemptive pardons, a lot of talk going around about that. I can tell you how I feel about that as well. If you need some kind of preemptive blanket pardon, all you're telling me is, hey, 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 I've done something wrong and I need protection. I'm sorry. I don't understand why anyone would even want that. Although I do believe that Adam Schiff, uh, Anthony Fauci, I believe a lot of these people should be charged with crimes against humanity, especially for Fauci. And I know that Adam Schiff has went way out of his bounds, um, going after Donald Trump with lies, and he caused a lot of the issues we had in this country ever since he started that Russia collusion stuff. So there's so many different people who could be looked into and investigated and probably charged with something. And I'm getting to the point now where I don't think that the anybody in Congress, whatever the laws are that protect these people from specific charges and stuff, I think they all need to be done away with. I think they should be treated just like every American citizen in this country. Get rid of those. No special circumstances. You don't get to avoid anything. You can't be exempt from being charged. If you're a bad person and we can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt through our court system, a fair trial, you need to be charged just like anybody else. So the docs charges are international. I would say that they're local and international, or domestic and international. They should be world renowned as far as the charges go for Fauci,
Is
because
there a global charge? Just blanket it under global.
well, they could, because they're trying to do it to Bibi Netanyahu, calling
Yeah.
him a war criminal. So there's places out there that have a so-called warrant out for him. So good luck with that. That's not going to go very well for you guys. We'll see how that ages, but it won't age well, I can guarantee. So, all right, we're going to get rolling here. Man, we got sidetracked from the get-go. I didn't say
My
get-go, I said
bad.
get-go. All right, we're going to jump into, man, this is really crazy stuff, but we're going to start out with a lot of this gender affirming care. That's where we're going to start out with first. We're going to kind of roll through this kind of quickly, play some clips. We're going to talk a little bit about it. We have talked about some of this in the past, but this first one is going to be from James Langford. And anyway, check out what he has to say. I'm going to drop us down, and then I'll bring us back up after so everyone can see it. But really good clip here. Pay attention. This is actually being argued right now in front of the Supreme Court of the United States. So SCOTUS.
Senator James Langford. I'm staying here in the Hart Office building. It's one of the Senate office buildings. My office is actually right over there, but as I look out the window, right there is the Supreme Court. It took me a little longer to get into work today because there's so much security around the Supreme Court, because there's a case that's happening today where the state of Tennessee is in the Supreme Court because they have a law, just like Oklahoma's law, that says a minor cannot have transition surgeries, chemical surgeries, to transition from being a boy to a girl, from a girl to a boy. You can't do that as a minor. If you choose to do that as an adult, you can do that, but you can't do it as a minor. Well, that is being challenged all the way to the Supreme Court today on what's called 14th Amendment grounds of due process equal protection. What's interesting is apparently there is no challenge to say that minors can't smoke cigarettes or minors can't drink a beer or minors can't even be restricted from voting. But the radical folks want to say that a 12-year-old can then transition from a boy to a girl. That's a decision they can make, but they're not old enough to make a decision that they can actually smoke a cigarette or drink a beer. Listen, this is just normal process for Americans and for us in the law to be able to say there are certain things that minors should not be able to do. One is to be able to change their entire future and their entire biology, especially when we got countries like many countries in Europe that experimented with this for years and then came back and said this actually hurts people long term rather than helps people. So for those of us that believe in God's creation, that God is perfect in the way that he makes us, or for individuals that just say it's just common sense of male and female, this is not something that should happen to children. And in that Supreme Court today, that's going to be the argument.
Oh, let's get us back up here. Yeah,
I
very
can't
well
believe this
said
is
by him.
still talked about. Just baffles me.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. And, this is what we're up against. We talk about this stuff a lot. This next clip here, though, is Brianna. What's her last name? Brianna Keeler or Kyler. She's from CNN. She has on Kristen Wagner, who's the president of the Alliance Defending Freedom. So anyway, this anchor, Brianna, thinks that girls and boys can make these decisions at a young age. And my question is, when did she become an expert on drugs and surgeries and psychology? And she's also in the past attacked JD Vance for his military service, pushes fake climate change stuff all the time. And she also says illegal aliens, the criminal conviction rate is below that of native born Americans. Well, the only way that is even possible for all of the criminals who had come in illegally is because there's a lot less of them if we're going to look at percentages. So if we want to look at a level playing field, then we have to use very, very small samples. So that is not true. So there's a very high percentage of those we should be looking at it on how many people came through illegally, gotaways and all of that, and then think of the crime rate that we have and those who are locked up and being deported and all that other stuff. And you're going to find that percentage is going to go through the roof. So, but check out this Brianna Kyler and just listen to the brashness of this woman and that she honestly somehow in her mind believes that young children can think for themselves about something like this. Check it out.
It is not a constitutional right to engage in experimental surgeries that cause a child to lose their fertility. What kid, what girl knows whether she's going to want to have a baby long term, or what testosterone will do to her uterus, or that she will increase her risk of heart attack by taking these drugs?
Some of them do.
No.
None of them.
No, I don't think
None of them do.
85%, what we know from the science, and again, it's about not putting ideology over evidence, and that's what's happening here. 85% of all kids that are able to grow through puberty, who say they're gender confused, over 85% of those kids live at peace with their bodies and consistent with their sex. In those children that are put on puberty blockers, the science tells us that you're putting them on a one-way treadmill to live as the opposite sex for the rest of their life, and they will still experience being a lifelong patient.
Yeah. Can you imagine someone, a host from CNN that thinks, well, some of them know what's going to happen in the future. How is that even possible? I didn't know. I was in my 20s and still wasn't actually sure what I wanted to do with my life or where I was going to be in my 30s or anything else. How could I do that at 9 or 10 or 11 years old, 12 years old? You don't have a clue. You don't even know what your political affiliation is going to be.
My son's 19 and still can't make sound decisions on some things.
Well, yeah, I mean, there you go. I mean, it's just absurd to suggest that, children can understand and consent to dangerous medical decisions that often lead to, they're irreversible mutilation is what it boils down to. You cut something off, you can't change it. You can't go backwards. You turn your innie into an outie and your outie into an innie, and it's never going to operate or work the same. It's
They're not
done.
going to give a 12-year-old a boob job.
No.
Why would they allow him to cut him off? It just, I don't even understand that. Even if I was still on the other side, this topic baffles me.
Yep. To be honest, and I know this doesn't, a lot of people want their freedom. I get it. They want to do what they want to do, but even if you're 21, and I'm looking at what Francis put here, should need to be 21 before that kind of decision gets made. I think that even if you're 21 and you want to do a complete overhaul, I'll just call it that. You want to do a complete overhaul, you probably need to get a psych eval right away. And they need to make sure that they put you, work with you and make sure that that is exactly what you want to do. Because even when you get older, I think that a lot of these people make these decisions and they end up being depressed. And again, as you heard at the very end, a lot of people just don't even think about this. But when you do a lot of this stuff, you are a lifelong patient. What does that mean? That means that you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life. And like my wife said, if you get an implant, I don't know, kidney, whatever they can implant, a lot of times, if not all the time, you have to be on a drug, a rejection drug, so that you can survive for the rest of your life on that transplant. So it's the same concept. So I don't know. I really think that anybody who wants to, and even like Langford said in the beginning when he said, people who want to change their biology, I know what he meant. You can't change yourself though, but he meant your physical attributes, what you look like, you can change that, but your DNA and all that stuff never changes. So we all know that. And common sense tells us this, and so does the science. Evidence-based medicine should always override gender ideology, and we don't have that right now. We got too many people out there on the progressive left, and maybe some, maybe not so far out on the left, who still are pushing this and still haven't learned that this is what got Trump. I guess now it's closer to almost 78,000 or 700. What was the total that people that voted for him? 78 million almost. So that's what I was trying to say. Almost 1,000.
Yeah.
They are getting psych evals or talking the kids into doing it. Yeah, I'm talking about adults though. But the problem is, I know what you're saying. You're absolutely right. A lot of these doctors that even the kids go to, like Monkey said, they're actually saying, "Oh yeah, you don't feel like you're a boy? Okay, yeah, we can switch into a girl. That's no problem." Yeah, there's mental illness in the doctors too. So point well taken. But I think everybody knows if we could get someone in there like a doctor that we absolutely know has a good head on her or his shoulder, then they should be the ones doing the psych eval. But I don't know. When you stand behind something like this for a kid, that's just no bueno. There's no getting around that. Kids should never be touched. And I'm going to stand by what I always say is that they are attacking God's creation, and that's the closest thing to God as a child. The most innocent of anything is close to being innocent on this planet is when the child is born. So, and that's why they're going after him. We just can't swap you back. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, agree. And you should pay for it 100% on your own. Yeah, it shouldn't be on a taxpayer dime or like if you're in prison or anything like that either. So good point, Francis. Good point, 17, George. Joe says, real quickly, you know how I associate life in conjunction with God and how he has things laid out. If people knew the outcome or ramifications of that, which goes against God's direction, many wouldn't attempt it. No, a lot of them wouldn't. It's like anything else. Abortion, same way. Let the girls sit there and the young lady sit there and watch films on it and stuff and watch her baby, maybe a baby heartbeat, and let her, sit there and, as I like to say, stew on it, let it simmer, and maybe she'll come to terms with it. So don't just rush into and, say, hey, you don't feel like you want to be a mom. Well, maybe let's talk about this. Or again, you feel, you're a little boy, but yet you want to be a female. Yeah, let's think about this before we rush them into it. But as someone pointed out in the chat, I mean, we do have a lot of sick doctors in this world, so who think that this is okay. And I don't know how they live with themselves. I couldn't do it. I could never do that to a child, and I couldn't be a part of it. I would just walk away and say, I can't do this. I'm not going to do it. So this next clip here is this is my Montana State Rep. I guess it's Zoe Zepper, a Democrat from Missoula, Montana. She speaks to CNN after SCOTUS appeared favorable to upholding Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for minors. I don't even know if I'm calling this one a she or a he. Sometimes I get confused on this transgender stuff, but let's hear what it has to say. Check it out.
So what happens if the court, sides against what you're talking about? What is going to happen, do you think, to not just trans kids, but trans Americans broadly?
You know, I think Justice Brown touched on this a little bit, where she talked about the way in which that opens up attacks not just on trans adults, but things like loving and interracial marriage, if you are going to sort of skirt by the Equal Protection Clause. I think it obviously has the practical effect of making it much more difficult to access the medication that keeps us alive. It makes it more likely that we will see the negative outcomes from ostracization to suicide, depression, etc. But I also want to push back a little bit and say that, this decision or Tennessee's law, there is nothing that they could craft in policy that would make trans people vanish. We have been here since, the early 1900s and before, and we will continue to be here regardless of the policies that they push against us.
All right, that's a dude. So
That
yeah, I
that
literally get
statement,
confused
did you hear what he
sometimes.
said?
Go ahead.
Since the early 1900s. That's it. What happened from now, from 120 years ago? What changed?
A
I went
lot's
back and
changed.
forth with a guy in a comment, and I was like, he's like, there's a difference between sexual orientation and gender. Okay, you can love who you want to love, but you're still a man or a woman. They
And
dig
that's a
you. I said
dude.
to him, they dig you up in 50 years. They test your bones. They're going to know whether you're a male or a female. Well,
Yeah.
no, they're not, because archaeologists know that people are transgender. So if they saw the clothes I was buried in, sir, your clothes will be vanished in 500 years when they're buried with you. They're like, what are you like? I finally just had to stop, because I'm like, I can't do stupid. And I even said to him, I said, I don't care who you are. I have, a cousin in the family who transitioned from female to male.
Yeah.
They have a beautiful family. It is what it is. They don't push it on anybody. You would never know. You know what
Right.
I mean? They great people. I said to him, I said, you do you, boo. I don't care if you want to scream it up from the rooftops, but you're
Yeah.
still either a man or a woman. That's it.
It's crazy. It really is. It's totally crazy. And yeah, I do get confused sometimes and it's not because I can't, I'm not smart enough to figure it out. I just don't want to
Some
know
of it's
what a
hard.
transgender man or woman is. I just know by looking at it that, oh, that's a dude wanting to be a woman. I can tell. That's all I really want to do, is just look at him and listen to him, because it's pretty, I don't know. I call it mental illness. It's pretty sick. And we're seeing more and more of these people show up into public service, and that is really scary, because they're going to do their best to normalize this, and that's what really scares me, because more people are going to be exposed to it, and I don't want that. We're going to
Yeah.
jump in real quick here so we can get to the next one.
Even
I have
my cousin, he doesn't agree with children having that choice or having it done to him.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, if there's
Mhm.
anything good about it, that's a good thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This one here is a guy named Del Bigtree. He's the host of the High Wire, and he's talking about the transgender drugs and stuff, puberty blockers and SSRIs and all that. But it's only like a minute long, but really interesting clip that I found. So I wanted to give them a shout out from the High Wire. It's a pretty cool show if you watch it once in a while. Got some good topics, so check it out.
Wait a minute. So it just said that they actually prescribe these things to sex offenders because they know that it inhibits, your sexual desire. And so, I mean, again, like we talk about, we should be looking at school shootings when this other conversation we've been having a lot on this desire, this confusion, body dysmorphia, the transgender thing in children, many of these children feeling like they're in the wrong bodies. We've talked to those that are trying to detransition, saying I was depressed, I was on antidepressants, my psychiatrist said maybe I'm in the wrong body, I decided to get a sex change operation. Well, now, doesn't that sort of at least potentially bring in a cause of why so many kids are saying that they just feel like they're in the wrong body? I mean, if you've got numbness and you've got no attraction to based on gender or sexuality, I mean, what a mess they're making with this whole thing.
Yeah, that's to say the least. What a mess. And we've talked about this on prior shows before, probably 6 months or more ago. We've talked about these SSRIs and the puberty blockers and stuff, especially when we have, these school shootings and stuff. And we've brought it up to where, how do we know what these drugs are doing when it makes their bone density change? And it does, sometimes it could cause menopause, all of these other things. For these girls that are trying to transition and all this other stuff, that maybe the mental part is even being driven more by drugs because it's affecting all of their hormones. We don't know. They could be hallucinating. And we also had this discussion, the wife and I did earlier. What is the difference between your kids, my kids, whoever that's listening, if you have kids? We don't want them to go out and to get hooked on heroin and cocaine, fentanyl. We don't want them doing these things. Why not? Well, because we know it's not good for their body. We know that it could change them. It could kill them. It could forever change them, damage their body. So why would we want to do something like let them mutilate themselves? Or why would we want them on these puberty blockers and all the things that their body should be doing naturally, that we're going to shut those functions down in the body and try to move forward by seeing what the end result will be? Well, you're going to end up putting that child in an early grave.
My doctor won't even, we talked about this the other show, my doctor won't even give me a hysterectomy because it'll put me into early menopause and my body hasn't done it yet.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much. And it's a shame that we're having this conversation still to this day about this. And it's even more of a shame that right now they're arguing this in the Supreme Court of the United States. The highest court of the land. It literally has to listen to these sick, mentally ill people who are up there fighting, as they like to tell us, they're fighting for the children's rights, anyone's rights to make a decision to mutilate themselves. And I'm telling you, anyone who's a good parent that knows their children and keeps them and protects them from this craziness of our world, not one of your kids, okay, especially mine, they're homeschooled, that they're not exposed to this stuff. They're only exposed to what they should be exposed to. Not one of them ever out of the blue says, you know what, Dad, I think I'm a dude. I want a penis. Oh, really? We don't hear these things because they're not exposed to this nonsense. So they're never going to do this. And a lot of these kids, it's their parents. The kids hear it maybe from someone else or maybe from a parent or a loved one in a family. And then they talk to the parent and the parent's like, oh, boo-boo, you want to be a baby girl or a boy? Okay, yeah, we can do that. The parent's just as sick in the head as anyone else outside of the home that's talking about this in front of a child. Again, it goes back to mental illness. You're all sick in the head. You're pedophiles. You're borderline pedophile. You're something that you shouldn't be if you truly want and support trying to change a kid into something or talk them into something that they're not. That's on you. That's on you. And the poor child doesn't have a chance, no more than the child has a chance that's being held in their arms or holding their hand, and you're out in public and you're dropping F-bomb after F-bomb and you're talking and you're slapping and beating up on people. That kid is going to do like that little girl did in that Walmart store when we showed that clip. That's exactly what she was acting out, what she has been taught. Her environment is that exactly. She will grow up and the vicious circle will keep going round and round with her children and the next generation until someone breaks that, just breaks it. You got to break that vicious circle. You got to stop it somewhere. And if you can't do it, then it's going to keep going.
I mean, even little kids. I mean, I remember my son going into stores with me and seeing bright, sparkly pink or purple sneakers in the kids aisle. And I'm like, oh, that's the girl shoe. Like we're like fish, you know, it's shiny, it's sparkly. You're going to be drawn to it. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that he wants to transition into a girl. He just thinks it's pretty.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, for most times, I mean, you know, most, that's I was saying it right the first time. Most of the time, kids, they see a lot of thing that's new and they're like, oh, that's cool, because that's exactly it. It's new. It's something different to them.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what I said. If you don't expose it to them, they're not going to ever. And then you have a chance to, like, my kids know that there are people who want to be women and vice versa. And we talk to them and tell them about what it is and how bad it is and everything else. They, you know, we talk to them about smoking. We talk to them about drinking, drugs, all that stuff. So they know. It's not like we don't tell them anything. We tell them the correct way. We tell them the truth, and we tell them what the end result will be if they choose to go down this path. But again, my kids would have no reason to want to be anything else that they are, because we celebrate that I have 2 daughters and a son. You're a girl. That's what we're glad. That's just what you were meant to be, and we're going to treat you as one. So again, it goes back to the upbringing. Monkey said, no, Chris, an enabler does it out of love. These butt wipes are doing it because they brainwashed. No loving parent would do this. No true loving parent would do that. They think they're a loving parent, but they're far from it. So I agree with that. So we're going to jump in here real quick because we got to get to the big story, but I got a couple that I have to run through real fast here. Let's do this one. Again, we're talking about the Supreme Court of the United States of America hearing thoughts on this, or arguments on this. So let's go ahead and play this clip here. This is Samuel Alito, and he's giving his thoughts on gender-affirming care, drugs benefiting or having long-term benefits, which we know that they don't. But they're arguing that these kids get benefits from taking this drug. This is how far these pedophiles and these psychos are going, that they're going to lie at every turn that they can to try to get people convinced that this is a good thing. So check it out.
A question about the state of medical evidence at the present time. In your petition, you made a sweeping statement, which I will quote: overwhelming evidence establishes that the appropriate gender-affirming treatment with puberty blockers and hormones directly and substantially improves the physical, psychological well-being of transgender adolescents with gender dysphoria. That was in November 2023. Now, even before then, the Swedish National Board of Health and Welfare wrote the following. They currently assess, quote, that the risks of puberty blockers and gender-affirming treatment are likely to outweigh the expected benefits of these treatments, which is directly contrary to the sweeping statement in your petition. After the filing of your petition, of course, we saw the release of the Cass report in the United Kingdom, which found a complete lack of high-quality evidence showing that the benefits of the treatments in question here outweigh the risks. And so I wonder if you would like to stand by the statement that you made in your petition, or if you think it would now be appropriate to modify that and withdraw the statement that there is overwhelming evidence establishing that these treatments have benefits that greatly outweigh the risks and the dangers?
I, of course, acknowledge, Justice Alito, that there is a lot of debate happening here and abroad about the proper model of delivery of this care and exactly when adolescents should receive it and how to identify the adolescents for whom it would be helpful. But I stand by that there is.
Okay, so that's just him giving his example or his thoughts, that you're telling us that this has a long-term benefit. This benefits the children. That's what they want them to believe. But what were your thoughts on that, Gene? I know you were getting ready to say something there.
I mean, you put anybody on any kind of medicine, even if you take too much Tylenol your entire life, it changes you. You know what I mean? It has side effects like liver failure and stuff like that.
Mhm.
You know, you have little kids that, maybe like, I've known some friends of mine that going through puberty, they never got their period. So they had to be put on medication for it to come because they were 16, 17. Their body should have already done it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And you have to weigh the risks of the medication to induce that. You know what I mean? And there was a huge waiting process in doctors. And just because I just don't get it. Just because your kid says, "Oh, well, I want to be a boy," you're not even like, there's no waiting period. You have to have a waiting period for any type of surgery. But the state just wants to take over and say, "Okay, today's Tuesday. You want to be a boy? Okay." And then Monday you're in the hospital. Like, I don't understand it while I'm sitting here waiting for, medication that's been approved over in Europe for diabetes, but we can't have it here because, 50 years later, they're still testing it. Like,
Right. Yeah. And
I don't know.
it's this simple. And I know you know this, but this isn't directed at you, but it really is this simple for the people who have trouble wrapping their heads around this. It's EVIL. That's it. It's plain evil.
Mhm.
And for them to come out and push something like this, it proves everything that we've been saying. It proves that what we believe, and with our faith and everything else, that we know that it's true because all the signs are there. All this stuff has already been foretold, and we're seeing, how they're taking God's creation and totally just disrupting it and doing everything in their power to destroy it. And they truly are. It's really sad. Now, this next one, though, is Ketanji Brown, who's a justice, actually Ketanji Brown Jackson. And I know most of you are going to remember this, but this was from her when she was going, they were actually her confirmation. They were talking to her and asking her questions. And, but anyway, I think it was Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, actually. Speaking of that, because this law is from Tennessee that's up there in front of the Supreme Court of the United States now, because they have a block on this. Missouri also has it, and the judge just ruled here in Missouri as well that it will stay that way, that you cannot do any of this stuff here in my state, which I am so proud that they did that. But
No,
anyway,
they're all going
listen
to
to
come
the.
to my state.
Well, y'all need to change some stuff up there, is all I can tell you.
I
But
don't
anyway,
understand it. All the towns that voted for Trump voted Warren in. Like, what?
I don't
What?
understand
Do
that
you just
either.
toss a coin 50-50?
Yeah, I don't understand how people could vote for President Trump and then turn around and vote all the other, like, House seats or the Senate seats that they would vote Democrat. I don't know. I sometimes I think I remember the movie, and I'm pretty sure it was the Jason and the Argonauts. It's black and white movie. But, if anyone's old enough to remember that, I think that's the one where they kept showing these little scenes of, like, these gods up in the clouds that were playing chess, and they would move these pieces around, and then Jason and the Argonauts down on Earth, things would happen, and they would, like, interfere. That's what I think is actually happening with, a lot of this stuff. It makes you wonder, like, I don't know. It's just crazy stuff. But anyway, Ketanji Brown Jackson, she can't answer this. Remember this from the confirmation, though. This is going back a little ways, but she couldn't answer a very, very simple question about how to define a woman. Check this out.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mhm.
No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about.
She can't tell us what a woman is. She can't define it. You know what I would have
Does
said
she
to
know
her?
the difference between a cat and a dog, or an apple and a banana?
I
Hello.
would have, no, I would have been much ruder. I probably would have gotten in trouble. I'd have said, would you please stand up and drop your pants? Look between your legs and tell me what you are. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple, Ketanji. I don't think that we have to explain. We don't have to do some mansplaining to you to tell you that your mommy parts are a woman. You're a woman. And she knows exactly what the proper answer is. She can define a woman. She didn't want to because she knew that all
won't
of
make her
these
money.
people. Yeah, well, it's not going to get her confirmed because all the people who were pushing her is the Biden administration. They're all the evil minions out there that are pushing all this. So she has to keep them happy. Now, this is the same clip, but a little bit different. And the only reason I'm showing this one, it's only 37 seconds, is because of the social media post from like X that they're showing in the beginning. But this is another interesting one here of her, the exact same thing.
How can someone who doesn't know what a woman is rule on a case involving gender? That last comment, obviously a reference to Jackson's confirmation hearing in 2022 and this memorable moment.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can't?
Okay, so that was just another view of that. I cut it short because I just wanted to see that this is a pretty widespread thought process, and everyone that's talking about this knows exactly what this woman is. They know who the people are that are pushing this. They know why they're pushing it, and they're still pushing it, and they haven't learned their lesson on why so many people, 77 million or 78 million people, the most votes for a Republican, I believe, in history for the presidency Donald Trump has got. And that was for a reason, because America was waking up. Even those on the left in the Democratic Party were starting to wake up. They're starting to come around. We've talked about this on previous shows. We keep talking about it because there is a major shift in our world. And it's not just here in America that we're seeing a shift to the right. This is globally. It's happening in a lot of different places. So, and it's a good thing. Women and female in general have long been defined in biology. Yeah, well, try telling that to some people because they're just not getting it. So, last clip, and we're going to move on from this. This is actually Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson herself. And what she's going to tell us here is everyone's probably heard about this, but Justice Brown's comparison of transgender care for minors to interracial marriage. Wow. And speaking of Virginia and Tennessee, but check out this 50-second clip of her, and just to show you what we're up against and why these people in these high positions are so detrimental to this country, to this republic. It's scary. It really is.
Being drawn by the statute. That was sort of like the starting point. The question was whether it was discriminatory because it applied to both races and it wasn't, necessarily invidious or whatever. But, as I read the statute here, the case here, The court starts off by saying that Virginia is now one of 16 states which prohibit and punish marriages on the basis of racial classifications. And when you look at the structure of that law, it looks in terms of, you can't do something that is inconsistent with your own characteristics. It's sort of the same thing. So it's interesting to me that we now have this different argument, and I wonder whether Virginia could have gotten away with what they did here by just making a classification argument the way that Tennessee is in this case.
Yes, I think that's exactly right, that there is absolutely a parallel between any law that says you can't act inconsistent with a protected characteristic and in all other
Wow. Because back in the day, there were some asinine people around that said black people couldn't marry white people. We're gonna liken that to the fact that we're gonna okay gender affirming care and drugs and mutilation to our kids. Wow, that's quite, this is what we're dealing with. That's exactly what I wanted everyone to hear. That's what I wanted everyone to see. And don't forget about this, because
Oh, money.
we talk about this all the time as well. Well, not all the time, but in a lot of different shows, I bring this up. There's a lot going on in the world. A lot of people are interested in, what's going on in these confirmations or who's going to get the House seats. They push particular or certain specific politicians because they think that they're going to get in there, whether they're from a different party outside of the Republicans or the Democrats, and it's going to change the world. It's not. It's one man, it's one politician, or him or her, it doesn't matter. You can push any party you want. You can push any affiliation that you feel comfortable with. But there's so much more going on in the world besides what's going on in Congress, in the White House. Literally, while all this stuff is going on up there and all these changes are being made, President Trump going to be inaugurated, come January 20th, all of these things, there's still things going on around us behind closed doors that are changing our world forever. From the World Economic Forum and all of this. And this is why, to be quite frank, I didn't even watch when Trump got the award the other day on the 5, whatever that was, a Patriot Award or whatever they gave him. I'm just tired of seeing that kind of stuff right now. What I'm ready for is for him to get into office, and I want to see some stuff start to happen. As far as all this, talk about these preemptive pardons and all this other stuff, I'm just so done with politics in general. But again, there's still a lot of very important things going on around us, and we're going to start getting into that in some of our future shows, whether it's, they want to take our food sources away from us and have us eating bugs. Again, the world does not revolve around politics, people. As much as we might want to think that it does, you got to get away from that sometimes and take a break and realize that there's important things like our kids being attacked, our food sources being attacked, things that they're trying to take away from us from, behind the scenes, because while you're focused on that shiny thing, they're moving stuff around on you, and it's changing at a very, very fast clip. So, again, you can't sit in front of a TV every day, all day, and just watch nothing but politics. It will drive you nuts. Literally nuts. But again, this is what's going on up there in the Supreme Court of the United States. We have so many more things going on in our world globally and here in our republic, but we're worried and trying to protect kids from psycho pedophiles that want to do some really horrendous things to them. And it's a waste of time. It's a waste of breath, not fighting for them. It's a waste of time and breath, in my opinion, for us to even be having this conversation, because common sense tells us it's no bueno. It shouldn't be happening, plain and simple. So, some crazy stuff. We're just going to jump right into it. Crazy stuff going on around the United States as well, which we've been talking about off and on for probably well over a year now, maybe even longer. And I have some clips coming up here, and I've got one that's about 3 minutes, one that's 2 minutes, another one that's 2 minutes, one that's a minute and a half, and then 41 seconds. Yep, that's a lot of minutes, but it's all from the same clip. I had to break it down But we're going to jump right into the main topic of the show, which is the drones. Is this something we should be worried about? The stuff that we're seeing, is it all just being blown out of proportion? Are we seeing planes that are up there, taxiing or whatever they call it throughout, just making circles until it's time to land? What is
Is it a
actually
look here
going
and
on?
don't look over here?
Yeah, what is it? Is something, actually going on in our country, around the world? Because a lot of this stuff isn't actually, oh, we got a new follower, by the way, Mr. Scott Awesome. So, hey, whoever you are, Mr. Scott Awesome, you're pretty awesome. Thank you for following us. So I thought I'd throw that in there. But anyway, yeah, there's a lot of this stuff going around, around the world. And when you have drones over Jersey, a lot of people are like, okay, so what's going on? Is it because of the golf course up there, the Trump property? Is it because of the military complex that's up there in the area? What is it exactly that is going on, that people are seeing in the skies, and everybody's kind of freaked out about it? So I pulled this clip from Channel 4 out of New York. If I'm a New Yorker.
New York?
Yeah, New York. Channel 4 here,
Down
and
the I-90?
yeah. I mean, you would know. I don't know nothing about that area up there. I wouldn't go to New York if they paid me. No
Nope.
way, Jose. No go.
I've never
Not
been
going.
in New York City. I've driven through New York maybe
Yeah,
once or twice. That's it.
yeah. I'm not going up there. But here, Channel 4 is going to tell us a little bit about the New Jersey drone sighting. So let's check this out.
New concerns hovering over parts of New Jersey. The FBI is investigating these mysterious drone sightings in Morris County. Residents say they've been appearing more frequently in recent weeks, and tonight many people want to know exactly where they're coming from. News 4's Adam Harding is live in Dover, New Jersey with what you've learned. Adam?
Yeah, Gilma, this one's really a head scratcher for families who live nearby. They are especially concerned because there's a military base not far from here. There's also a number of residential neighborhoods that for weeks now have been seeing these drones almost every single night. And as police investigate, now we've learned the FBI has joined in as well.
That's not a plane.
The mysterious drones keep popping up in the late night hours over Morris County. Mike Walsh first spotted them in mid-November. Now he sees them all the time.
We've been seeing them every night, except Thanksgiving. They seem to take the night off.
Pay close attention to the three-pronged lights. Mike says he first heard what sounded like a helicopter from inside his home. By the time he stepped outside, he knew it was something else. He contacted police, but so far he hasn't gotten many answers.
I'd really like to see one land and be able to report it, but they're up for a long time. I don't know, where they're taking off from, where they're landing from.
This is a video of the Morris County drones with characteristic triangle lights.
The sightings have exploded on social media, some casting doubt, others concern.
People were thinking like UFOs or people are being spied on.
Do you have any concerns about these drones?
No.
And your reaction to it has been?
That's crazy. I wonder what they're looking for.
It's all over Facebook and all over our website page.
What's your reaction to all of it?
Well, it's a little scary. I'm like, what is it?
A few days ago, local police agencies issued a statement along with the county prosecutor. In it, they write, there is no known threat to public safety. This joint statement is being issued in response to rumors about the drone activity spreading on social media. We encourage the public to be mindful that what they read online may not be accurate. Today, we learned the FBI is now investigating.
It was going pretty slow. It had 3 blinking lights, red and green.
Christian Velasquez says he saw it too after leaving work the other day. Like everyone else, he wants to know what's going on.
I don't know. It's weird. It's concerning that there's multiple of these being spotted at the same time. It's not just one of these drones flying around. It's 5 at the same time, and they're all around Morris County, and it's definitely concerning.
Police tonight say they'll continue to monitor and investigate. Meanwhile, they say if anyone has any information, you're encouraged to contact your local police departments, not 911, unless it is an emergency, if you have any information as to who or what is behind these drones. That's the latest live in Dover tonight, Morris County. I'm Adam Harding, News 4, New York.
All right, so I'm going to jump in here real quick. This is from USA Today. not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because I got more clips that I think everyone's going to find really interesting. And normally I don't like to play the longer clips back to back to back, but I think everyone will really enjoy this and you'll understand why I think it's important. Mysterious drones have been reported flying over parts of New Jersey in recent weeks, leading to an investigation involving multiple police agencies and even the Federal Bureau of Investigation in Newark. So the FBI is involved. Images and footage of the drones have circulated online, leading community members to wonder what's going on, blah, blah, blah. We just heard that. On Tuesday afternoon, the Morris County Prosecutor's Office said there is no known threat to public safety, the same messaging officials have released over the past few weeks. Reports of drone sightings have emerged from multiple counties, including Morris, Somerset, Warren, Sussex, according to NorthJersey.com, part of the USA Today network. So that's one article. This here is a map, shows where mysterious drones over New Jersey have been spotted. And all it is just covering Morrison County, Somerset, blah, 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 just showing you all of this. So there is something to it because local law enforcement did get involved. They have talked about it a little bit as well. Another Newsweek article, unidentified drone swarm over U.S. military base sparks alarm. Mysterious drones have been spotted flying around one of the U.S.'s most sensitive military areas, leaving defense officials and local authorities stumped as to who is behind the unknown, uncrewed aerial vehicles zipping across the sky around a major U.S. airbase. U.S. military personnel reported drones appearing in restricted airspace over Langley Air Force Base in Hampton, Virginia, shortly after sunset during a period of more than 2 weeks, according to the Wall Street Journal. Again, I'm telling everyone this because a lot of the stuff that we're seeing, some of it is like nonsense. They're planes or helicopters or whatever, but you know how people are, they get freaked out. The old classroom thing where, you got 20 kids in desk and you start at the one and you whisper something in the ear and you say, repeat it. And by the time it gets to the end, it's totally different than what you whispered in the first kid's ear. So I get that. But the Wall Street Journal and all these people have picked it up. The Pentagon's getting involved. The FBI is getting involved. So it's not just, kids or whatever. There's more to the story. What it is exactly, I don't know. But I know that there is something going on out there. There is some validity to it. And I think, eventually, hopefully, we'll know a little bit more about it. So, I'm going to.
I just like how they say there's no known threat.
Well, yeah. And
Well,
we're gonna
isn't
hear
everything
that.
considered a threat until you should know what it is?
Well, I'm glad that you noticed that in that New York clip from the news channel, because in one of these clips that I have coming up, this is actually from Sandbox on YouTube. I did some research trying to find out some really good stories and some of the things that have been going on over the past year, because I've seen these stories pop up on the Epic Times and the Wall Street Journal, which I have I subscribe to so I can get some of the stuff. I also have the New York Post, which is a right-leaning more. So I do subscribe to a lot of these people and things so I can get it. But this Sandbox is on YouTube, and his name is Alex Hollings, and that's Hollings. And this whole clip is from them. And again, I broke it down. And remember what Gina just, questioned about not being a threat, because that's going to play a big part in one of these clips. Like I said, when it comes to the military, it's going to blow your mind. And also, when we go through these clips, this first one's like 3 minutes long, so be prepared. But focus on this and listen to everything that this guy is saying. Really interesting, but you're going to notice that some of the laws that we have here in our country that protect our rights kind of work against us at times, because we're so worried about protecting ourselves all the time that sometimes law enforcement and the military can't act because of the laws that we have enacted to protect us. So in other words, we can go a little too far sometimes, or we don't leave enough leeway that, okay, we're protecting Americans, but if something like this happens, we have to be able to check into it or react to it. Again, very telling. So yeah, if they ain't breaking FCC law, there ain't much anyone can do about it. Well, that's kind of what I just explained to you. But again, that's good for us, but it's not always good for all of us at all times, because things can happen and we're going to be sitting here going, no big deal. We can't do nothing about it until boom, it's too late. But anyway, this is the first clip. Again, pay close attention, turn the volume up if you need to. You shouldn't, but really interesting stuff. And again, it's going to be long, but it's well worth the listen. So check it out.
Over the past few years, the world has watched with bated breath as a variety of drones have reshaped the way warfare plays out in Ukraine and elsewhere around the globe. But last December, the United States was given a forceful reminder that this threat is not relegated to far-flung battlefields a half a world away. It's already right here on U.S. soil, and America seems to be struggling to overcome a combination of bureaucracy and technological limitations in time to address it. For more than 2 straight weeks last December, swarms of drones of varying sizes, flying at varying altitudes in well-orchestrated formations, violated the strictly controlled airspace over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia, sitting directly across the Chesapeake Bay from Naval Station Norfolk, the largest naval base on the planet. These drones, some with wingspans of over 20 feet, would arrive about an hour after sunset, cruising at around 100 miles per hour just a few hundred feet off the ground. They'd zoom over the hangars that house America's F-22 Raptors, then out over the bay toward the headquarters for SEAL Team 6, and past the most dense collection of national security facilities on American soil, prompting many to ask whose drones were these, why were they there, and maybe most notably of all, why didn't we shoot them down? Despite wave after wave of large, seemingly non-commercial drones penetrating the protected airspace over Langley Air Force Base all throughout December of 2023, the first official acknowledgement of these incursions didn't reach the public until March of this year, when the commander of NORAD and NORTHCOM, U.S. Air Force General Gregory Guillotte, publicly testified before the Senate Armed Services Committee. NORAD, or the North American Aerospace Defense Command, is a joint U.S.-Canadian command responsible for monitoring and defending the airspace above North America, while U.S. NORTHCOM, or Northern Command, is tasked with defending the American homeland. I'll quote the general now. As part of my 90-day assessment, to tell the truth, the counter-UAS, or uncrewed aircraft systems mission, has dominated that so far in the first month. Of course, I knew it was an issue coming from another combatant command, CENTCOM, where we faced that threat in a very different way because of the environment, but I wasn't prepared for the number of incursions that I see. I've gone into events at Joint Base Langley Eustis, and I'm using that as the centerpiece of my 90-day assessment. Now, as you may have noticed from the wording of that quote, these drone incursions may have been most severe over Langley, but that wasn't the only place they'd occurred.
Wow. I got one more thing here that I'm gonna.
I always forget.
It, so. Go ahead.
When they say drones, I think of like the ones I did on the thumbnail. You know what I mean? Like the little drones. I always forget that they can look like mini planes and they can like 100 miles per hour. Ain't no joke. You know what I mean? Especially if you have the opportunity to shoot it down if you need to. Like that's fast.
Exactly. So we're going to go ahead and pick up on the next clip here. It's about 1:56, just a little under 2 minutes, but it's a continuation here. Like I said, I had to break them down into 200 megabytes, and it won't accept it in the studio, but let's go ahead and pick it back up.
2 months prior, in October of 2023, 4 drones were detected entering the airspace above the Nevada National Security Site, where experiments relating to things like the disposition of damaged nuclear weapons are conducted. A fifth drone, seemingly not detected by local systems, was also said to be spotted by eyewitnesses on site. Between December 2019 and January 2020, law enforcement officials in Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas were bewildered by waves of large and small drones flying in carefully coordinated grid pattern formations that seemingly didn't violate any federal laws, but did raise serious security concerns because of the mystery surrounding their origins and operators. This time, I'll quote Colorado Senator Cory Gardner. I think this shows a significant gap in our understanding and national security understanding of the threat drones pose. If we can't find out who they are, how they're being controlled, who's controlling them, what's to keep a nation like Iran or North Korea from looking at this instance and saying, boy, now we should come out and do the same thing with cameras and sensor equipment to find out the kinds of things that would help with international security. So I think it's a concern. A few months prior to that, in September of 2019, drones also violated the airspace over the Palo Verde nuclear generating station, seemingly focused on the area around one of the plant's pressurized water reactors. Between 5 and 6 drones were reported in the power plant's restricted airspace 2 nights in a row, and then they ended as mysteriously as they began. But the incursions over Langley last December, according to former NORAD and NORTHCOM commander General Glenn Van Herk, were unlike any previously reported.
All right, so you're starting to get, from that Colorado politician, you're starting to get what Monkey was talking about and kind of what Gina was alluding to, that we're going to, in the next couple clips, we're going to get a little bit more into why we can and what we can and can't do, all that stuff. So, but go ahead with your question real quick before I roll on.
So you spot a drone. Obviously, people are calling the police officers in their town saying, even though they're not supposed to, we know some Karen out there, sorry, Karen, is going to call and say, there's drones flying overhead. They're looked at. They should be able to be tracked to see where they go after that point. Why are we not tracking them after that? No. Like, it's got to show up in the airspace somewhere. Like, why aren't we following it?
Well, as we get a little farther in,
any like Joe and Mo like me or you that have any drones, throw one up there when they see them and follow wherever it goes.
Well, yeah. I mean, they could, and there's a lot of questions out there on why they aren't doing certain things, but some of that will also be answered as far as why they are so hard to detect. And it's not that we don't have the capability or the technology to detect these things. It's going to boil down to what kind of setting do we have on these, we'll just call them radar systems. Because if we set the system too low, it's kind of like going through a metal detector. You might have a pin in your leg, and it might be a little bitty small, or the things that I have in my jawbone now, the post. Those things are set so that when you go through them, they don't pick up this stuff. They're picking up the bigger stuff, like the weapons and the bullets and the rounds and all of that. Same thing with the military technology. They have the opportunity to turn it down or dial it back, and they're going to pick up much smaller things. But now they're picking up ducks and finches and birds and migrations of butterflies, and the alarms could be going off forever. So you'll see more of this as we get farther into the, we got 3 more clips here and then we're finished. So this next one's going to be 2 minutes. The next one's 1:37, and the last one's 41 seconds. And then we're free to talk about whatever. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump back into this and pick up where it continues.
According to U.S. officials who spoke with the Wall Street Journal, the military doesn't believe the drones flown over Langley last December were owned or operated by hobbyists. The drones themselves, some spanning an estimated 20 feet or bigger, were too large, and the formations they flew in were deemed to be too complex. These larger fixed-wing drones, witnesses report, would fly as low as just 100 feet off the ground, while smaller quadcopters, said to be about the size of a standard 20-pound commercial drone, would accompany them flying a few dozen feet below. However, officials quickly determined that these drones were not operating on the same frequency bands that are available for commercial drones of these types. Now, it's worthy of note that this sort of large mothership drone being orbited by smaller quadcopters was also reported in those 2019 and 2020 sightings over Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas. Now, these drones would approach Langley from the north, usually within 45 minutes to an hour after sunset. They'd fly over the base and then south across the Chesapeake Bay toward Naval Station Norfolk. The drone swarms would then loop around and repeat the pattern again, usually until around midnight when they'd disappear back into the darkness. According to reports, the air defense radar arrays in the area didn't even always pick up those smaller quadcopter drones. But importantly, that's not due to a lack of technological capability. These radar arrays are extremely sensitive and as such are set with gates or filters, if you will, meant to sift out things that wouldn't potentially be a threat and don't necessarily warrant your attention. So with those filters set to weed out things that are small and slow enough to be a bird, it often filtered out those smaller quadcopter returns. And as a result, they needed to just adjust those filters or gates in order to better track these potential threats in the future.
Okay, so you just asked about that and you just got your answer. So as I said, we have the technology, but the problem is if it's almost like it's almost like when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. A lot of people were like, if you watch the movie Tora or whatever, they're like, oh, it's they started saying, hey, we got something on radar, and then somebody's like, oh, it's just a flock of geese or whatever. They totally blew that call because it was something. It was a Japanese, and that's what made me think when I first heard that clip when I was listening to this guy. And I thought, you know what? I said, man, that just reminds me of what happened there in Pearl Harbor. And then before they knew it, it was too late, before they could even get planes off the ground and start fighting back. But anyway, the technology is there. It's just they have to dial it back. They have to set it. It's the same as these gates. We call them gates on our soundboards. We can open up that gate to where it picks up more sound in the background, or it shuts that gate or whatever when we're finished talking. Like it just drops. It's the same thing. It's just a setting that's going to make it more sensitive or less sensitive on what it's picking up. Now, do we want to pick up every locust or every bird that flies through or butterfly migration? No, we can't do that, or hummingbirds. But, it goes with some of the laws, what we're going to start getting into now, and some of the reasons why we can't do some of the things, which you'll find out on the next clip. But it's just one of those things. We have to change what we're doing. We have to change our behaviors if we truly want to, start following these things. And that's another question that even I have. Why isn't the military, or maybe they are, and they're just not telling us that they are following these things? Because as you can see, it's happening in a lot of the military installations throughout the United States. Just like the balloon, it went over from Alaska and came all the way down, and they didn't shoot it down until it went off the coast of South Carolina or whatever out in the Atlantic. They let it go over almost every military thing. It went right over Whitman here in Missouri, where they house or keep the B-2 stealth bomber. I mean, why would you let it go over military installations like here in Missouri and every other state to where you would do something? It just doesn't make any sense. So, but these are things that most people don't think about on a daily basis. They say, oh, it's just a bunch of crazy people, flying things up in New Jersey. Nothing here to see. Well, that might not be true.
They are so in our faces, just doing things right in front of our faces. Why wouldn't they do one more thing?
I mean, exactly. A couple weeks
I don't even know where to go anymore.
Well, it's just critical thinking. It's just common sense stuff. You just have to, your mind, your heart, your body will tell you a lot. I call it your conscience. You'll know when you've done or said something wrong. You'll feel it. And I get the same gut feeling on a lot of these things that we find out about politicians. I can listen, I can watch, I can look them in the eye, and I can say something's off. This person is not being forthright with us about everything, or maybe just a few things. But anyway, a couple weeks ago out here in the rural area that I live in, there was a plane flying over and had something on the back of it, and it was flying like treetop high, and it was
Could
going,
it be like a
and it kept
LiDAR?
going through back, and then it would come back later, and it would be a little bit farther over, and then it would come back again. And people started calling local law enforcement. They're asking questions about it. What's going on? Why is this plane flying so low? It's not crop dusting. What is
It
it
sounds
doing?
like a LiDAR, like a
Well,
geography.
that's what it was. And it was, flying over and people were freaking out. So that's one of those things where, okay, I can see what they're doing, but still they're getting information about everything, on there, but it's not something that we have to worry about necessarily because they're not going to be dropping bombs or anything. So, but yeah, again, with these drones, you don't know. And I'm very suspicious about a lot of this because I do believe that we have foreign adversaries that are putting these things up in the air and they're getting stuff, information from us and about us. But I guarantee you we're doing the same thing over there. But anyway, here's this last clip, the long clip, 1 minute 37. Let's check this out, and it's going to answer some more questions, and then we'll end it with the last clip of 41 seconds. So check it out.
After the first few days of repeated incursions, the base command chose to postpone all nighttime training over concerns that their aircraft could collide with these incoming drones. F-22s were relocated elsewhere, and military and law enforcement personnel started combing the area for anyone close enough to be controlling them. When one ship was spotted floating in international waters just off the coast, the U.S. Coast Guard closed in and boarded the vessel, hoping to catch the drone operators red-handed, but instead found nothing linking the ship to the drones at all. And then, on December 23rd, 17 days after the first drone swarm arrived in Langley, the mysterious aircraft departed for the last time and never returned. Now, none of these drones ever demonstrated any overtly threatening behavior, and as we'll learn in a few minutes, that's a very important legal distinction to draw. But more broadly speaking, the mere presence of these drones could nonetheless be interpreted as a threat to American national security. Not only could these drones be collecting valuable intelligence that could be transmitted to adversary forces, but they could also be identifying potential vulnerabilities, helping to establish tactics, and maturing operational concepts toward large-scale drone attacks to be mounted against American defenses and critical infrastructure if a large-scale fight ever were to break out. Which all further presses the importance of the question, why aren't we shooting these drones down?
All right, we're going to jump into the last clip so we can talk and get past this. So check it out, and this is the last one of this.
In other words, this is the law that bars the use of the American military against the American people. Military installations like Langley Air Force Base here in the U.S. are authorized to defend themselves only when someone or something, like inbound drones, pose an imminent threat. So, had these drones been armed with explosives, for instance, well, then the Air Force would have been well within its legal right to open up on them like the 4th of July. But because all these drones were doing was flying by overhead, they did not meet the criteria, legally speaking, for a self-defense engagement, even if they were likely to be collecting sensitive intelligence data.
So there you go. And that's what Monkey was talking about. That's what everyone asked, and that's why... And that's why I comment. Well, it's not even a loophole, to be quite honest. What it really is, it's just we can't act because we don't want the military acting against our own citizens. So if we have something up there, we're protected. Again, it's what I said earlier, is that we have so many protections and rights and freedoms that we don't want to be infringed upon in any form. So it blows my mind that they're even worried about this, because anything else they'll stomp all over our rights. But they use that excuse to say, well, we can't do anything. So, okay, so maybe you can tell that they're not heavily armed with bombs or whatever. But what if they have some kind of a chemical in there, a biological weapon or something that they can release into the air? How would you know? You know what I'm saying? So maybe there's technology that can tell that they're loaded or armed, or I don't know, but
or even mosquitoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
with diseases like Bill Gates did with the mosquitoes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yep. Joe says a normal drone, typically considered a mid-range consumer drone, can fly an average distance of 1 to 3 miles, depending on the model and conditions. However, high-end consumer drones can reach 6 miles. And we'll go a step further, Joe. The ones that they use in the military, like your SEAL teams and all that, they can go a lot farther, and they can be operated a lot farther, and they can drop big bombs, and they can do all kinds of fandangled things that we have no idea about. But again, do we blow this off and dismiss it and say that it can never happen? That this isn't some foreign adversary, or this isn't, anything nefarious. It's just a bunch of people flying stuff around. Common sense for me, my gut says this isn't the case, because if it was, there wouldn't be so many flying at different times in formation. Maybe around one of the more fixed wing ones. And then you have the other ones that are just like the, I don't know if they call them helicopter ones, whatever they called it. So there's a lot of formation stuff going on that, somebody like me, if I want to put one up over the farm and look for a deer or something, I'm just going to have it up there treetop high looking down. I'm not going to have numerous ones up there. I'm going to be operating one. So that's going to be, pretty different here. And this clip that I hurried up and downloaded, I showed the wife one last night, and it was much better. But this gives you an indication. I'm going to pull this up. It's one of those slim screens, but check out what they can do with these drones, and then I'll comment on it afterwards. I'm going to go ahead and drop us down first. Now, just think what they just did there, what they could do if they wanted to attack you. Say those were heavily armed and they
We'd have
wanted
no
to do
chance.
damage. Yeah. So, here's another one here real quick
That
that
sound
I'm,
is kind of ominous, though. Like all of
yeah, it
those.
is.
That's scary.
And some of the other ones that are used in the military and whatnot, they're not so easily detected by sound or anything. So again, we're talking about like kind of what Joe mentioned, consumer type for what we would get. Here's another one just to give you an idea. It's beautiful. And like I said to my wife, I told Tammy, I said, look at this, because I showed her one last night while we were watching a show, and I had already known that I was going to talk about this on this Tonight Show. I said, look at what they can do with these. I said, they're beautiful. It's absolutely, just crazy what they can do with these things. But they're also, it's like one of those things like a cell phone. It's cool because it brings everything right to you, but it's also tracking you and listening to you. So it's good and bad at the same time. But check out what they're doing with these drones. And this is mostly in China. So think about this. This is the Chinese, and that should scare us. This is what they do with these things. Wow. There's just so many examples of these giant spheres that they do, and all the colors, and they change. So the whole point is, if they wanted to really, this is the future of warfare. I'll tell you that now. And this is why we really have to be careful with drones. We can't just blow them off and dismiss them. The unmanned stuff is going to be, that's the future of warfare. There won't be
The other
soldiers,
thing,
boots on the ground
they
coming
can
up
do
in the
that.
future. Yep.
Could you imagine them like faking like the second coming of Christ? Like
Well, that's
pretending the sky is opening. I mean, get enough
miracles.
of those up there.
Yep.
Like
False
it's
miracles and all that.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy. But yeah, or I'm back into the comments here just to check out what's going on. Yeah, they've been able to do a lot of things, for decades now, but they're really they're progressing at a very, very fast clip, and it's very scary. Um, well, it'll be mistaken for those who don't know or believe, but looking at Joe's comment there. But yeah, I mean, it's where they've come with technology is just totally blows your mind because even AI, that's part of this technology. If you don't have a trained eye or you're just, I mean, you look at something and you just jump to conclusions, you can think, oh my gosh, that's so and so, and look what they did, and it's not even real. So just one of those things. But this last clip I have here, I'm going to play this. This is of Bill Maher again. He's talking about the country needs a disruption. And again, this guy is coming out with some smart stuff here. He's starting to impress me at times, although I never thought that was possible. And then we'll talk about a little bit, a few things, and then we'll wrap this one up. So check this one out. Last one we have for tonight.
Let's talk about the Republicans now. Now, they are calling themselves the Disruptors. It sounds like one of those cartoons, like the ex-presidents that they used to have on SNL. The Disruptors, this crew of people. So let me ask if we just agree on these two basic premises that I look at. One, the country does need disrupting. I mean, the country needs a colonic and a slap in the face so bad. This is not who I would choose to administer the colonic. But it's not like the bureaucracy isn't bloated. It's not like the debt isn't $36 trillion. It's not like there aren't thousands of regulations that do stop people from living lives that they could live better and don't do anything. There is woke in the military, whatever they're going after. I'm not saying there isn't and I'm not going to pre-hate anything. Do I have really good, optimistic feelings about it? No, I don't. But I'm just not going to pre-hate. I can't get into that mind go. Let's see what the disruptors can do, because quite frankly, the experts have just sort of like let something go for so long that it's just sclerotic now and constipated.
Well, Mencken said democracy is a theory that the people know what they want and deserve to get it good and hard. And
who said that? Mencken. Oh, I said Lincoln.
Okay, so what did he just do there? Just to end the show, he played both sides of the fence. He was saying that, hey, yeah, we haven't done such a great job, and things are pretty much a huge mess. But then he turns around and says, "But I'm not really comfortable with who's in charge and who's going to possibly, fix this or change it." And he only said that because he's trying to keep the people on his side happy, the left, the Democrats. He knows that what's getting ready to happen in our country is for the best. And because he sat there and just told them and us that this is a huge mess that we've got ourselves into. And again, playing both sides of the fence, but I can see right through what he's doing. He knows that the best man has been elected into the presidency of the United States. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed all of that. That was, like I said, that was a really, really long clip. Our clips that I thought they were really important that we should all see. And again, don't dismiss these drones because they're all over the place. We've got balloons going everywhere. We've got drones going everywhere. We've got a lot of things going a lot of different places. And just keep in mind that there's a lot of adversaries, people like China, Russia. We don't know who's come into our country through known gotaways across our southern border, any of this stuff. And this stuff does matter. It doesn't mean that they're flying them from Canada or from Mexico or from China. They could be right here on our home turf doing all of this stuff and gathering information and sending it back, which is probably what's going on. And if the military isn't interested enough to follow up on this, which I don't believe, I think they do know what's going on. I just don't think they're going to tell us. So we'll see in time. But again, moving forward on some of the future shows, we're going to talk a little bit more about World Economic Forum stuff, the WEF, the global elitist. I don't know. There's just so much time between now and the inauguration. There's a lot of things going on in the world. It's not all about U.S. politics. Again, there's a lot of very interesting things. So we're going to try to bring in some more stories that kind of change it up, switch gears.
Christmas is coming.
I get burned out on the same stuff over and over. So I'm so glad the campaign season's over. I'm glad all of that's done. It was getting old, even for Trump. I didn't want to hear him say this because every rally they go to, they say the same thing over and over. It doesn't matter what party you're from. Kamala did the same thing. I'm like, I can't do this no more. I'm done. So thank goodness that that's over with. And I don't want to hear any more either. I know what he says he's going to do. Now let's just get up there and let's get the right people in place. Let's get them confirmed. We got 2 years to make this happen, people. No, not 4 years, 2 years. So we have to make something happen. And listen to Dan Bongino's show if you don't, at DBongino. And you'll get a lot more of this information on why we only have 2 years as well, because we have midterms coming up. And we all know that midterms don't always go good for the party that's in office. So a lot of times we lose seats. I hope that we gain more seats, but we can never prejudge and know for sure. So we got to get a lot done in the first 2 years. I agree with a lot of people that are saying that because that's the way history works in government and politics. So let's see if we can't get it done. And anyway, yeah. Going through the chat here to see, did we miss anything tonight? Anything just like jump out? Kind of going back into.
Been going good.
And remind Handy, Morning Mayhem, 17 George. See you soon, Chris.
Chris is at 10 o'clock going to show 2 of his short films that he made.
Oh, that's right. He sent me a text or a DM earlier today. Yeah, so it'll be 15 minutes. He'll be going live then, I'm guessing, if it's a live. And because it's 8:45 here in the Central Time Zone. And it's cold, cold, cold. It's colder than a well digger's in January. Y'all know what that means. Ask me no questions. That's how cold it is.
Oh.
You never heard that? That old saying?
No,
we said that here in the Midwest all the time. We'd be like, it's colder than a well digger's ask me no question in January.
See, here it's colder than on a bull.
Ah, okay.
Have you heard that one?
No. It's a region.
It's colder than lady parts on a bull.
Wow. All right. Well, Yep, it's I don't know. I think we're getting down into the 30s tonight, about 30 tonight for the low. We were down into the around 20 last evening, but we're getting into a warming trend now. We're going to see some 50s, maybe even close to 60 a couple of days, and then we're going to go back. Yeah, Missouri, you can be warm in the middle of, January, whatever, and then you can be cold. It's just we're hit and miss. We're like right there where a lot can happen. But
it is a bit tip-bit nipply, Frank. It's 27 here with a real feel of 19, and it's supposed to drop down to 20. So I can't imagine what the real feel is going to be at like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be cold.
Your warm, your heat wave should be coming to Indiana, Joe, probably within the next 24 hours. I would check your app. You should be warming up if you're getting the same weather we are.
Mine is Sunday. We're going to be 46. But Wednesday, we're going to be almost 60.
Oh, see? So he'll probably get it too, I would say. So phone says, I don't know where you're at, 17 George, but says 28 here. That's that's pretty cold still, but yeah. Anyway, for anybody out there on Rumble, if you have not got into the chat, we're inviting you to at any time. Please join us in the chat. If you have any comments, anything you'd like to add to the conversation, please do so. We'd love to have you. And for those of you listening, watching on X, since we are going live on X, please go over to Rumble. If you haven't downloaded that app yet, you can do it to any device, your phone, your laptop, your smart TV. Get that downloaded. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. A lot of good content over here. It is the home of Dan Bongino as well. It's the home of us, the Lose Views podcast. Louder with Crowder has come over. I don't know if that's only per premium subscriptions or not, but I know Steven Crowder's over here and a lot of other people are coming over as well. They're leaving YouTube because they're getting censored. But anyway, if you haven't downloaded it, please do so. And then while you're there, look us up at the Lose Views podcast and then hit that follow, give us a thumbs up, a like, hit the notification button, and do all of that stuff. We could sure use some more followers, and doesn't cost you anything to subscribe either. Just subscribe, which is basically following. And if you want to donate, you can. We have a Venmo. You can do that, or you can do it in the Rumble chat. So there's many different ways you can support us. Or if you can't afford to send anything or give anything, then support by just spreading the word and sharing,
Oh, look who decided to show up.
our information. Oh, I haven't even heard about that. I don't even know who Steven is anymore. What's going on, my Arkansas brother? My Ozark brother? That's what's up. Yeah, cool. But anyway, if you haven't, definitely go over to Rumble and get that downloaded. That's our home channel. Even though we do stream live to YouTube, we usually get our stuff taken down because we're bad boys and girls. It's me because I can't keep my mouth shut about the face diapers not working and ivermectin working and hydroxychloroquine working. So yes, maybe I am doing it on purpose, but I really don't care. So, and Dr. Fauci should be charged with crimes against humanity globally.
Fauci.
You got it. So unless he gets one of those pardons, who knows? But anyway, we're going to finish up the show with Blackout Coffee. I got to get that camera angle right. There we go. Blackout Coffee, Brutal Awakening. That is some strong stuff. Double the caffeine. If you want to bounce off the walls, or you need to maybe drink some of this stuff so that you can figure out how to get into the studio for your show and not be late, Gina, you want some Brutal Awakening.
I was in there 15 minutes early, like I always am.
And
Not
she
my
couldn't get
fault.
in
StreamYard wanted to be goofy.
because she didn't have her key to get in the door. But anyway,
No, I think
Blackout
Lou
Coffee,
booted
that's what
me.
she needed. She needed Blackout Coffee. I'm telling you, that's what she needed. But anyway, here's what you need to know about the Blackout Coffee process. It's all done in-house down in Florida. Good people. John Santos is the owner, and he is a true patriot. The source is premium specialty grade coffee beans, which are graded at 80 points or above on a 100-point scale. Specialty coffees are grown at the perfect altitude, at the correct time of year, in the best soil, and then are harvested at just the right time. They work with local co-ops and farmers that grow this high-quality coffee, and they adopt a strict adherence to small batch roasting of their coffee. Blackout Coffee is roasted, packed, and shipped with lightning speed, usually within 24 to 48 hours. This means you get the beans just days after they are roasted. The combination of their premium coffee beans, highly controlled roasting process, and immediate shipping gives you, the customer, an elite coffee experience. I drink this stuff every day, at least 2 cups first thing in the morning. I love the blueberry crumble if you like flavored coffee, and they have the cinnamon French toast, which is really good as well. We actually drink this. Really, really good stuff. And go to the link, which we will have down in the show description for Blackout Coffee at blackoutcoffee.com. Use the discount code LOUB20. That's LOUB20 for a one-time 20% off discount. If you've already done this once in the past and you've ordered and used that discount, please click on the link again after you find out what other promos that they are offering. You can use them both in unison still again. And it does help support our show and pay for things like, if I need paper clips or paper, if I want a soda pop or whatever, or if I want to buy some liquor and get drunk while I'm doing a live show. It just helps support my addiction. I was being funny. But anyway, my coffee addiction. But that's what it does. So if you would be so kind, you could do that. Help a brother and a sister out. So yeah, my northern sister and I'm a Midwestern brother. I'm almost to south.
Christmas is coming. I got lots of presents to buy for lots of children.
Who's going to buy me a present?
Only 3 children.
I'll listen to Joe. He says,
Santa.
now, Lou. Joe's gonna be preaching to me here shortly. When Lou drinks too much blackout, he streaks around the block until Tammy taps him with the car. I'm a little too old for that, monkey, but
I just pictured oh my God, what movie is it? Monk, you gotta know. He's running down the street naked and he's like, I'm streaking. Oh my God.
I don't know.
Will Ferrell. It's Will Ferrell.
I don't know the name of it, but I do know the movie. But see, back when I was a kid, they had a song out.
Driving around with her friends.
Yeah, I think it was Ray Stevens. Maybe Joe can help me out with this. Ray Stevens, didn't he sing the song and they called him the Streak, the fastest thing on 2 feet? I think that was it. Does everyone remember that? I think his name was Ray Stevens that sung that. Oh, yes, they called him the Streak, the fastest thing on 2 feet. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know that one.
You don't? Oh, Joe said yep, so
No.
I was right.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. Man, that's been a while. But that was big because they would show people running. So, and a lot of people would run through the ballparks like that too during ball games, and they would play that Streak song. He was at a frat party.
He was. And I
Oh,
can't remember the movie.
Run, Forrest, run.
Oh, George sent it to you.
That's right. Look out, Ethel. Oh, too late. I don't know if I can play that though. Can we pull that up?
Yes.
Pull it up real quick. Can you? It's already late or too late. She's already been mooned. Boy, that's bringing back some memories. I don't know if she can get it up
I don't know how
and
to do it from
put
here.
it in the thing or not. Look at that. That's it. I love that interactive chat. They look at stuff or find stuff for us. Are you in there? I can probably get it, but hang on here. Might be easier for me. So we're supposed to be ending
Yeah, I
the
can
show.
do it
and
on
now
my
we're looking-
phone.
Now we're looking for the Streak. Oh, look at that. It's like top of the search
Old
engine.
school. Thank you, Frankie. I knew you got me.
All right, I got it here. So hang on. I'm going to pull this up. We're going to get copyrighted on YouTube, but I don't care. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can get this. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to play it straight on the screen. I'm not going to download it. So hang on. Let me open it.
That can be our closing out song.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah. All right, hang on here. Let's get back in here and share this. And then we're going to end it after this. We're going to play it for a little bit, not the whole thing. Da-da-da-da. Look at me bringing up some funny stuff here.
Hello, everyone. This is your Action News reporter with all the news that is news across the nation on the scene at the supermarket. There seems to have been some disturbance here. Pardon me, sir. Did you see what happened?
Yeah, I did. I was standing over by the tomatoes, and here he comes, running through the pole, through the fruits and vegetables.
Tomatoes.
Hey, bird. And I hollered over to Ethel. I said, "Don't look, Ethel." And it's too late. She'd already been in the scenes.
Here he comes.
Boogie dad, boogie dad, boogie dad, boogie dad.
And he ain't wearing no clothes.
Well, yes, they call him the Streak.
Look at that, look at that.
That's the thing on 2 feet.
Look at that, look at that.
He just a
I've never heard this.
Oh, it's awesome.
He gonna give us a peek. Well, yes, they call him the Streak.
He likes to
The
show off.
street.
If there's an audience to be found, you'll be speaking around, inviting public critique. This is your Action News reporter once again, and we're here at the gas station. Pardon me, sir, did you see what happened?
Yeah, see, I was just in here getting my car checked, and he disappeared out of the traffic. Just come streaking around the grease right there. Didn't have nothing on but a smile. I looked in there, and Ethel was getting her code drank. I hollered, "Don't look, Ethel!" It's too late. She'd already been mooned. Flashed her right there in front of the shop.
Oh boy.
He ain't rude.
Look at it, look at it.
He ain't rude.
Look at it, look at it.
He's just in the mood to run in the news.
Oh, yes, they call him the street.
All right. Yeah.
That's
and
a funny one.
17 George was making fun of me because he's like, I sent him the video and he plays the audio or something. Oh, I just pulled up the first thing I could, so it's getting to be long. But doing a first listen with Gina should protect from the strike too.
I agree.
Oh my goodness. Well, she made it interesting because I think the first 9 minutes was about nothing but her being locked out of the studio. She was a bad girl.
I don't know. It was so
Anyway.
weird. And then I logged back into my email to click the link that you sent me.
Yeah.
I clicked the link. It brought it up like it did before, not dark mode, the white, where I could only see just the chat. And then all of a sudden it like flipped a switch and all of a sudden it was dark mode and I got everything back again. I didn't even have to log in. I just clicked the link that you sent me again.
Maybe I was just playing around and I had blocked you and didn't tell you. Maybe it was just a joke. Did you ever think of that?
No.
I didn't because I can't do that. I am like technically challenged. Trust me.
Uh,
What
I was
little I
like,
do
I only
learn,
have
it's from
emails.
trial and error. Trust me.
Yeah.
I have to do it over and over and over and over again when it comes to these computers because I will forget it and I'll be like, how did I even do that? I'm lucky to even go live and be able to survive. So trust me.
And you just hit live.
Oh, funny. Real funny. So no, sometimes that don't even work. So can't always go by that. But anyway, Tammy, Lou needs you now. Yeah, I do. It's actually time to go watch some shows with the wife, put the kids down, and then tomorrow I got MMA fights starting at 5, I believe, Central Time, then 7, then 9 o'clock. So I'll be up late
Oh, you
watching
get to
that.
watch them this time.
It's the UFC. It's Pantoja is fighting some guy for the championship, but there's
You'll
like
have to
I
send
don't
me
know.
their pictures like you usually do.
Yeah, there's 20 fights or so, but I'll be watching that tomorrow. So I'll be taking a break and then we'll figure out what we're going to do for Monday's show and probably tomorrow sometime. And then, yeah, we'll figure something out. Maybe we'll talk about Bozo the Clown or something. We'll figure it out. We'll be all right. But watch out for those drones because you never know what they're going to do. And yeah,
And
watch out for drones.
always have your shopping cart with you. Don't carry your bags out.
Yep. And don't let strangers around your kids. Don't let them
Well,
anywhere
I
near your
don't-
children.
I thought that was always a given. It's so sad that you have to say that out loud.
Oh, but it is true. So,
Or even some family members I don't let my kids around.
yes, I do like Alex Pereira. Chama. Absolutely. Yeah, he's a good one. So I like him and I like John Jones. A lot of people don't like John Jones,
Good
but I
luck,
like
George.
John Jones. So all right.
I'll say a prayer for you.
Yeah, we're 2 minutes into Chris's show, so we're going to release everybody anyway. It's time to go, and we're pushing 2 hours now. So good night. Thanks, Joe, Monk, 17 George, Francis, everybody out there, Chris, Steven, Sherry, anybody in here that I missed, I apologize, but thank you all for joining us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you all Monday night. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless this great republic we call the United States of America. Good night. Have a great weekend, my friends.
You've been listening to Lose Views, where woke ideology gets destroyed. If you too are tired of the woke mob telling you how to think and live, then visit our website at loseviewspodcast.com. Start following Lou on X at Lou's Show and watch the Lose Views podcast on Rumble. Thanks for listening to Lose Views.
Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.